Welcome to tonight's restful journey as we delve into the gentle myth of Asclepius, the divine healer of ancient lore. From humble mortal beginnings to his eventual rise as a god of medicine, Asclepius imparts wisdom and healing across tranquil groves, inviting a sense of peace and calm. Allow yourself to drift into a state of serene relaxation as you explore this enchanting tale of transformation and benevolence. Let the soothing echoes of ancient stories guide you softly into the night. And now, let the tale unfold. In the mythological realm of ancient Greece, beneath an overcast dawn sky, the serenity of a mountainous sanctuary was pierced by a story of love, betrayal, and divine intervention that would shape the fate of healing for generations. It was in this sacred land that the miraculous birth of Asclepius unfolded, marking the beginning of a journey steeped in both celestial grace and human frailty. Asclepius was destined to be a figure of profound importance, born out of a union between the mortal princess Coronis and the radiant god Apollo, the deity of music, poetry, and healing. Coronis, famed for her beauty, found herself in the embrace of Apollo, their connection woven by the threads of destiny. Yet, as it often does in tales of the divine intermingling with the mortal, fate sowed the seeds of tragedy. While carrying the child who was to become the god of medicine, Coronis's heart was swayed by the love of a mortal man named Aetius, igniting the embers of a tale marked by emotion and consequence. The affair, hidden beneath the shade of secrecy, was destined to be uncovered by Apollo's vigilant watch. It was a white raven known for its unswerving loyalty to Apollo that bore witness to this betrayal. In times bygone, when the world was new and possibilities lay around every corner, this raven bore feathers of the brightest white, a symbol of purity and truth. Its keen eyes and sharp senses allowed it to observe the growing affection between Coronis and Aetius, and it dutifully carried the message to Apollo, untainted by bias and driven by fidelity. The news fell like a thunderbolt upon Apollo, awakening the storm within him. Wrapped in a wreath of golden light, the god's anger was swift and fierce, a rare but formidable aspect of his immortal nature. While being known for his gentleness and healing prowess, the betrayal pierced his heart, and in response, Apollo cast a curse upon Coronis. He set the once pristine feathers of the raven aflame, transforming them into the sooty black that we know today, an eternal reminder of betrayal's bitter toll. As Coronis faced the consequences of her actions, her fate was sealed, her life to be extinguished when it was just budding anew. Yet amidst the flames of anger and regret, Apollo's paternal instincts surged forth. With a heart heavy yet determined, he reached through the chasm that lay between life and potential, extracting the unborn Asclepius from the womb of his mother. It was a moment of both profound loss and divine foresight, as Coronis, having erred in her mortal inclinations, bade farewell to the world, leaving behind one final gift. Asclepius's life, saved from the ashes of conflict, was entrusted to a most enlightened teacher. Apollo placed the infant into the wise and nurturing hands of Chiron, the noble centaur renowned for his intellect and mastery of healing. Unlike other centaurs, who were known for their wild and untamed natures, Chiron stood apart, gentle, wise, and steeped in the holistic understanding of the natural world and its potential for healing. Cradled in the arms of destiny and guided by the wisdom that Chiron embodied, Asclepius was to grow amidst the serenity of sacred groves and tranquil landscapes. These early days of his life were steeped in the silence that bears witness to the unfolding of dreams, a time when the whisper of the wind carries the promise of possibilities yet to be realized. As the flames of divine retribution faded into the soft hues of early spring, the narrative of Asclepius's birth drew to a gentle close. The sanctuary where his story began lay quiet, nestling within its embrace the prophecy of healing that Asclepius would fulfill. This quiet invocation of life and rebirth set the stage for the chapters that lie ahead, where Asclepius, under Chiron's patient guidance, would tread the path of wisdom and healing, a journey of compassion born from the very fires of fate's design. With Asclepius safely entrusted to Chiron, the renowned centaur, the young child's journey into the teachings of healing began. The serene forest clearing where Chiron made his home was a sanctuary far removed from the plights of the mortal world. Here, Asclepius was not merely a child of divine heritage, he was a student eager to learn. Chiron, renowned for his wisdom and patience, welcomed the child with open arms, understanding the immense potential that lay within him. The days in the forest were filled with gentle exploration. Chiron taught Asclepius about the natural world, guiding him through the vibrant forest, where life thrived in harmony. The centaur's teachings were not confined to mere identification of plants or herbs. They delved deeper into the interconnectedness of nature. Asclepius learned that every plant and creature held a role in the delicate balance of life. Chiron's gentle voice would narrate tales of how the whispering winds carried healing melodies, and how the rustling leaves spoke in the silent language of the earth. Among the many lessons imparted, the exploration of medicinal herbs intrigued young Asclepius the most. Together, they roamed through the lush greenery, collecting leaves and roots, while Chiron explained their healing properties. These sacred groves were abundant with remedies waiting to be discovered. Each herb was like a gentle promise, a testament to nature's ability to heal and soothe. The careful examination of these medicinal wonders ignited a passion in Asclepius. Each discovery was a step towards fulfilling his destiny as a healer. Chiron, wise as always, shared stories of past healers, legendary figures whose remarkable feats were woven into the fabric of myth. Through these stories, Asclepius learned about the courage and dedication required to heal. Tales of heroic figures overcoming grave challenges instilled in him a deep respect for the art and science of medicine. Every story was a lesson, every lesson a building block for his understanding. As time went on, Asclepius began to develop an empathetic heart. Observing the natural ebb and flow of life around him, he understood that empathy was crucial for any healer. Chiron frequently reminded him that healing began with compassion. It was the healer's first touch and last word. The gentle demeanor with which Chiron approached each lesson taught Asclepius that the process of healing was as much about listening and understanding as it was about curing ailments. Under Chiron's mentorship, Asclepius faced his first healing challenge, a test of both his budding skills and his compassion. A deer, injured and trembling, lay before them in the glade. Chiron encouraged Asclepius to tend to the creature, reminding him to listen to its quiet suffering. With a mixture of fear and resolve, Asclepius applied the knowledge he'd gathered, carefully tending to the deer's wounds. The experience was humbling. Each breath from the creature reminded him of the delicate dance between life and harm. Witnessing this transformative moment, Chiron imparted one of his most significant lessons, the philosophy of healing with compassion. It was not just about the knowledge of herbs or the intricate techniques of medicine. It was about understanding the patient and offering comfort and care, soothing mind and spirit as well as body. These words resonated deeply with Asclepius, echoing through his thoughts long after the deer had returned to the forest. This early challenge heightened Asclepius's dedication to the pursuit of healing. The experience, filled with gentle triumphs and quiet realizations, fortified his resolve. In nurturing the deer, he had witnessed firsthand the profound impact of empathy and care, a lesson he would carry with him as he continued his journey. The serene forest had become his classroom, and each leaf, breeze, and heartbeat a teacher unto itself. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a silver light through the trees, Asclepius knew that his time under Chiron's tutelage was setting the foundation for his life's work. Each day added a layer to his understanding of medicine, not just as a practice, but as a calling, a dedication to the wellness of others. The soothing rhythm of the forest had seeped into his soul, preparing him for the healing path that lay ahead. And so, with a heart full of gratitude for the wisdom imparted by Chiron, Asclepius stood ready to embark on a journey that would take him beyond the whispering forests and into the world, where his skills and compassion would become his guides. The quiet sanctuaries he had come to love would always be with him, not just as memories but as the core of who he would become. Asclepius stood at the edge of the sacred forest, the stillness surrounding him a gentle reminder of the years spent under Chiron's patient tutelage. The knowledge imparted to him in the peaceful groves where they had walked together was now a cherished tapestry of wisdom and compassion. Chiron, with his kind eyes and deep understanding of the world and its intricacies, had prepared Asclepius for the journey ahead. The moment had come for Asclepius to step out from beneath the protective canopy and set foot upon the wider path of his destiny. With a warm embrace, Chiron blessed Asclepius's journey, his gentle words carrying the weight of countless teachings. "Go forward with courage and kindness," Chiron imparted, his voice a soothing melody of wisdom. Asclepius took these words to heart, feeling them resonate within him like the soft echoes of a distant yet familiar song. The wise centaur offered a final nod of encouragement, a silent promise that his guidance would remain a steady companion on this new path. Stepping away, Asclepius felt a blend of excitement and solemnity within him. The world beyond the sanctuary unfolded like a mist-shrouded tapestry, filled with the unknown but also with endless possibilities. The early morning mist clung to him like a gentle veil, as if the forest itself wished to linger in farewell. Each step carried him further from the familiar and closer to the promise of his own calling, the path stretching before him full of hope and opportunity. Asclepius's journey soon led him to his first encounter with the world's ailments, a wounded traveler, weary and troubled by pain. The man lay by the roadside, the shadows of suffering etched visibly upon his face. Without hesitation, Asclepius knelt by the traveler's side, his mind drawing upon the knowledge of healing herbs and remedies that Chiron had so diligently taught him. The forest whispered softly as if guiding his hands to the earth's offerings of medicine. With care and skill, Asclepius ministered to the traveler's wounds, applying salves that coaxed the pain away and whispered healing into the man's weary soul. Each touch was measured, each motion deliberate, the embodiment of the compassion he had learned in the sacred groves. Asclepius worked quietly, his focus unwavering, while the world around them paused for his first offering of healing in the wider realm. A gentle breeze encircled them, perhaps signaling nature's approval of this act of mercy and skill. As the traveler's eyes cleared from the fog of pain, gratitude filled the space where suffering once loomed. Simple words of thanks were exchanged, yet they carried the weight of recognition and appreciation. The traveler, now restored, looked upon Asclepius as if seeing a savior cloaked in humility. Word of this compassionate healer would travel far, carried on the lips of a grateful man whose path had been retouched by hope. With the traveler on his way, Asclepius allowed himself a moment of reflection, enveloped by the solitude of the open road. The triumph wasn't in the act of healing alone, but in the affirmation of his path, of the purpose that hummed quietly yet insistently within his heart. Here, amid the stones and soft winds, Asclepius sensed the subtle vibrations of his divine heritage, a deeper calling that beckoned him to continue in the pursuit of healing and wisdom. In this tranquil reflection, Asclepius found clarity in the echoes of the grove, where Chiron had instilled in him the virtues of empathy and dedication. He acknowledged that each patient would not only be a body to heal, but also a soul to understand and comfort. The realization enveloped him much like the mist of the morning, soft and pervasive, gently urging him onward. With renewed resolve, Asclepius embraced the path before him, knowing that each step would carry him closer to his destiny, one woven from the threads of both mortal trials and divine insights. The journey, though his own, was tethered to the legacy of those who had come before him, mentors, guides, and the pulse of the natural world calling him gently to greatness. As hope and reflection intertwined within him, Asclepius sensed that his journey was just beginning. The promise of his skills and the nature of his heritage blended seamlessly into the horizon he now faced. It was a horizon filled with promise, challenge, and the quiet certainty that his reputation as a healer would soon follow the echoes of his footsteps beyond the misty valleys and toward the lives. Yet to be touched by his hands, Asclepius's journey brought him to a small town nestled amidst the gentle hills of Greece. The serenity of the place was matched by the simplicity of life, where people greeted each dawn with quiet optimism. News of the young healer had traveled ahead of him, carried by whispers of a miraculous recovery and tales of his compassionate touch. Asclepius found himself the center of eager attention, the townspeople drawn to his presence, hopeful for the relief his skills could provide. People began to gather around Asclepius in the town square, a place where life bustled during the day and stories floated into the night. They were drawn by their ailments and the ailments of their loved ones, looking for the gift of health that he seemed to promise. There was a palpable sense of hope, the kind that lights up weary faces, kindling the dim flames of faith and anticipation in those who had long been burdened by pain. Asclepius, gentle and unassuming, offered his expertise in healing. It was during these moments of healing that Asclepius encountered something remarkable. As he laid his hands upon those who sought his help, an ethereal glow shimmered around them, as though the very light itself was infused with the essence of life. This was not the ordinary light of the sun or the moon. It held a quality of the divine, a soft luminescence that seemed to whisper truths unknown, weaving a tapestry of warmth and peace around Thetis. Afflicted. This sudden marvel led Asclepius down a path of contemplation, seeking answers to questions he had not thought to ask. What was this light that graced his hands during moments of healing? Why did it appear only now, as he stood at the threshold of his journey? These questions tugged at the edges of his consciousness, urging him to explore his very nature. Asclepius found himself revisiting the lessons of Chiron, the wise centaur who had been both teacher and guide. In the quiet moments of dusk, as the town settled into the comfortable embrace of evening, Asclepius remembered Chiron's stories, those cryptic lessons that spoke of the divine powers residing within. Certain beings, those born of gods and gifted with extraordinary capabilities. Chiron's words now echoed more clearly, outlining a truth that began to solidify in Asclepius's mind. He, Asclepius, was not merely a healer. He was a vessel through which the divine manifested, a bridge between the ephemeral human experience and the eternal wisdom of the gods. Understanding began to dawn upon him, like the first light of day touching the earth with gentle fingers. He realized that he was indeed a son of Apollo, imbued with gifts that went beyond the teachings of herbs and salves. The divine glow that accompanied his healing was a facet of his heritage, a link to the radiant power of his father, the god of light and knowledge. With revelation came resolve. Asclepius made a silent vow to use his gifts wisely, to wield the powers he possessed, not for personal grandeur, but for the betterment of humanity. He would honor the legacy of his father Apollo and the teachings of Chiron by devoting his life to the pursuit of healing and the spreading of wellness among all who sought it. Refreshed by this newfound understanding, Asclepius's presence in the town turned from that of a simple visitor to one of transformative importance. The villagers, ever observant, sensed the change in the air. There was a subtle shift in the way people spoke of him, the whispers of earlier growing into a more confident voice, one that heralded the arrival of a healer touched by the divine. Asclepius's touch was now known not just for the relief it brought, but for the reassurance it instilled, bridging mortal longing and divine mercy. With a heart anchored in devotion and a mind clarified by purpose, Asclepius bid farewell to the town, leaving behind seeds of hope that would grow long after his departure. He was now more aware of his duty, not only to heal, but to inspire faith, to nurture the belief that wellness was within reach, through understanding and compassion. As he moved forward in his journey, the road ahead seemed more certain. Each step carried the echo of his resolved promise, hinting at the rise of Asclepius as a name revered and remembered, not only as a healer of bodies, but as a restorer of spirits. And thus, with calm determination, the son of Apollo continued his sacred journey, one destined to impact gods and men alike. In the early morning light, the small Greek town awakened to the ripples of stories surrounding the young healer, whose touch could mend not just the flesh, but seemingly the soul. Asclepius, with his innate understanding of life's fragile balance, found his fame growing beyond the town's boundaries. The tales of miraculous recoveries spread like gentle fires, kindled by grateful whispers, each voice carrying his name further into the hearts of those in need of hope. In temple discussions and around evening fires, his deeds were recounted with reverence, for his hands seemed to channel the very essence of health and wellness. The flourishing of his renown led to invitations from larger towns and sacred temples, beckoning him to their midst. These centers of religion and culture yearned for the healing grace Asclepius promised, seeing in him not just a mortal man, but a tranquil presence that soothed woes unseen. When he arrived, he was greeted with heartfelt anticipation, crowds eager to witness the powers spoken of in hushed tones. From priests in towering marble edifices to aristocrats in villas overlooking the Aegean, everyone sought his healing touch, a gentle intercession between human ailment and divine mercy. Amongst these gatherings, Asclepius also encountered resistance from the traditional doctors, who clung tightly to methods passed down through generations. Some saw his growing fame as a shadow cast upon their lifelong work, expressed through skepticism and silent resentment. But Asclepius, wise beyond his years, approached such challenges with the patience taught by Chiron. He listened without judgment, his humility a calming balm to fears drummed up by this new era of healing he heralded. In his practice, Asclepius performed acts that reached the edges of possibility, delivering miraculous recoveries and even resurrections that left onlookers in quiet awe. Each success was a testament to his dedication to master healing, and it further cemented the divine glow surrounding him. This light, ever present when he worked, became a symbol of hope, as if Apollo himself watched over every procedure. Such was the impact of his abilities that people began to speak of it as an open secret, a divine gift inherited from the gods, yet wielded with a mortal's compassion. With each patient he healed, Asclepius embraced his identity as a bridge spanning the divine and human realms. He saw himself not as a disruptor of natural order, but as an agent of peace ordained to ease suffering where he could. This understanding allowed him to accept both accolades and adversaries with an unruffled spirit, knowing his path was guided by purpose beyond worldly disputes. His mind, etched with the teachings of Chiron and Apollo, saw the broader picture, the weaving of life's tapestry where every thread was vital. Thus, the humble seeker of wisdom walked a path lined with expectations and uncertainties, his steps echoing with the silent vow to honor both his heritage and his healing creed. He moved as a whisper, a gentle reminder to the people of Greece of the possibilities that lay in faith, love, and the endless pursuit of knowledge. As the summer sun set behind the columns of temples dedicated to gods ancient and revered, Asclepius found himself still in motion, his journey ceaseless like the river's flow. Each act of kindness, each successful healing, was a drop that fed into the streams of humanity's enduring story. Yet, amid this quiet triumph, he sensed the subtle murmurs of challenges awaiting him, speaking of tests not only from the physical world he knew, but also from the celestial forces watching over his path. And so, the chapter of Asclepius's life turned another page, casting shadows on the trials soon to come. His burgeoning powers meant that the road ahead was fraught with new responsibilities, new tests of his mettle as a healer born of both mortal and divine fabric. Still, with courage undiminished, he followed the call of destiny echoing in his heart, prepared to face whatever might come with an open heart, wrapped in the quiet assurance of one who knows their place in the order of things. Asclepius stood at the entrance of an ancient temple, its stone columns standing tall like guardians of wisdom. He entered the dimly lit interior, where the gentle rain tapped a meditative rhythm against the windows. This temple was a place of reverence, where the air was thick with the aroma of incense, and soft torchlight flickered upon its walls. Here, Asclepius would meet his father, Apollo, a figure of luminescence and divine grace. Apollo's visit was both anticipated and unexpected. He appeared in the twilight with an aura of serene authority, his golden light reflecting both love and expectation. Asclepius had become a healer of substantial repute, yet the profundity of his father's presence signaled that his path was far from complete. In the temple's sacred embrace, Apollo began recounting stories of healers who had walked the earth long before Asclepius's time. These tales were woven with lessons of compassion, skill, and the delicate balance between life and death. Apollo's voice was steady, guiding Asclepius through the lineage of wisdom that he now inherited. Among these stories was the tale of sage healers who had cured illnesses deemed incurable, yet chose the path of humility and empathy over pride. Asclepius listened intently, absorbing the revelations and contemplating the lessons. The knowledge from past healers was like a map, guiding him through the complex landscape of mortality and immortality. Yet, the reality of his divine touch, and the implications it held for human life, lingered heavily on his mind. "You must remember," Apollo cautioned, his voice as gentle as the rain outside, "there are limits to what can be achieved through divine intervention. Mortals and gods are bound by laws that govern life and destiny." Asclepius nodded, recognizing the weight of wisdom in Apollo's words. In his heart, he understood that his abilities were exceptional, but they came with responsibilities and boundaries that must be respected. The conversation unfolded with Asclepius posing a question that lay deep within his soul. "Father, what of mastering life and death? Is it not within our divine right?" Apollo's reply was measured and profound, rooted in compassion rather than ambition. Mastery comes not only from power, but from understanding the purpose and consequence of each act. Healing must be executed with compassion and responsibility. Otherwise, it disrupts the natural order. Asclepius and Apollo explored the nuances of destiny and free will. It was a dance between two worlds, each with its own truths and consequences. The dialogue between father and son was a catalyst for introspection, a gentle nudging towards a deeper understanding of healing as an art enriched by empathy. Apollo imparted his final counsel, urging Asclepius to heal not just with skill, but with wisdom. It was imperative that he should use his divine gifts as a means to inspire and uplift, rather than simply to conquer ailments. The true essence of healing lay in fostering an environment of support and compassion, where mortal and divine could coexist harmoniously. The parting between Apollo and Asclepius was understated, marked by a mutual nod of understanding. A soft light filtered through the temple windows, enveloping them in a shared moment of enlightenment. Though the meeting was brief, its impact was lasting, setting the stage for the challenges and realizations that Asclepius was destined to face. As Apollo departed, Asclepius carried with him a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that his journey would now be guided by a balance of wisdom and compassion. In the tranquility of twilight, Asclepius exited the temple with a deeper understanding of his role in the tapestry of life. His thoughts turned to the open paths before him, paths that would require him to reconcile his divine heritage with the mortal lives he touched. As he ventured forth, the wisdom of Apollo lingered in his mind, echoing gently in the rhythm of the rain. The journey of healing is fraught with moments of self-doubt and reflection. Asclepius, revered for his remarkable prowess, finds himself confronted with a challenge he has yet to face, a patient whom he cannot heal. This unforeseen setback shakes his confidence, bringing forth a wave of uncertainty and introspection. In this moment, his mind echoes with the lessons imparted by both Apollo and Chiron, urging him to turn inward, rather than succumb to despair. Driven by the need to understand his limitations, Asclepius withdraws to a quiet grove, sheltered under the ancient trees, the rain gently misting the earth with its refreshing touch. Here, in solitude, he seeks solace and wisdom amidst the serene whispers of nature. Asclepius closes his eyes, surrendering to the rhythm of the grove, allowing the memories of Chiron's compassionate teachings to guide him. Recalling the gentle words of his mentors, he meditates on the deep connection between healer and patient, and the essence of true healing that transcends mere physical restoration. It is in this contemplation that Asclepius realizes the profound impact of empathy, a quality that fosters trust and hope as much as any medicinal remedy. His understanding grows, nurturing a renewed sense of purpose born from compassion. Asclepius takes comfort in the natural world around him. The ancient trees stand as silent guardians, witnessing his transformation. Their sturdy presence and the rhythmic dance of raindrops on leaves weave a tapestry of tranquility that envelops him. It is here that he comprehends the wisdom embedded within nature itself, a reminder that every challenge and failure carries the seeds of greater insight. Emerging with a renewed spirit, Asclepius returns to the community, no longer haunted by incompleteness, but invigorated with the understanding that failure is not the end but a bridge to deeper knowledge. He embraces the notion that limitations are not barriers, but opportunities to learn and grow, an outlook that soon begins to reflect in his practices. Asclepius resumes his healing work with a more profound insight, embracing each patient encounter as an opportunity to foster deeper connections. His approach, now woven with newfound wisdom, influences those around him, instilling a sense of serenity and trust in the healing process. The grove, with its unyielding presence, becomes a symbol of his journey, a sanctuary where the divine wisdom of healing transpires. With a heart that understands the fragility and resilience of life, Asclepius realizes that true mastery lies not in conquering death, but in nurturing life with compassion and understanding. This shift marks the beginning of his wiser outlook, preparing him for the challenges that lay ahead, grounded by the wisdom of those he holds dear. As the mist lifts with the dawn, Asclepius stands amidst the grove, a testament to his journey's trials and revelations. He knows that challenges will continue to test his resolve, yet he remains a healer touched by divine insight. Asclepius embraces this cycle, assured that he walks a path tied closely to both healing and learning. The gentle transition into his wiser state lays the foundation for what follows, as Asclepius' path leads back to the community with fresh wisdom. Here, a soft anticipation of future endeavors stirs, guiding him in ways yet to be discovered, inspiring hope for those who seek the gift of healing at his side. Asclepius emerged from his period of reflection with a renewed sense of purpose, his thoughts focused on an idea that had taken root during his time in the grove. He envisioned a sanctuary dedicated to healing, a place where nature and medicine could converge to offer solace and recovery to those in need. This dream was inspired by the tranquil settings where he often found clarity. Now, he was determined to transform that dream into reality. The selection of the location for his sanctuary was a task undertaken with great care. Asclepius sought out a sacred grove, chosen for its inherent serenity and its ability to foster a connection between the physical and the divine. Surrounded by towering trees and the gentle murmur of a nearby stream, the grove exuded an air of peace, making it the perfect setting for his vision. It was here, under the rustling canopy of leaves, that Asclepius set his plans in motion. Construction of a small temple commenced within the grove, a modest structure dedicated to health and wellness. Asclepius personally oversaw the process, ensuring that the temple was in harmony with its natural surroundings. He recruited skilled artisans who understood the importance of maintaining the grove's tranquility while creating a space that exuded healing and hope. The temple's design was simple yet profound, embodying the essence of Asclepius's philosophy. That true healing stemmed not only from skill, but from an environment where the mind could find peace. To support his sanctuary, Asclepius began gathering medicinal plants from across the land. He ventured into forests, meadows, and mountains, selecting herbs known for their healing properties. These plants were carefully cultivated around the temple, creating a living apothecary from which he could draw the natural remedies needed to aid the infirm. Each plant was a testament to nature's wisdom, reflecting Asclepius's belief that the earth held the power to heal. Recognizing that healing was a collective endeavor, Asclepius invited other healers to join him in his mission. Wise practitioners from different regions accepted his call, bringing with them diverse knowledge and techniques. Together, they formed a community of healers dedicated to learning from one another and expanding their understanding of medicine and compassion. Under Asclepius's guidance, they shared insights and developed new methods of care, enriching the sanctuary with their collective experience. Word of the grove's restorative powers spread swiftly through the land. People began to journey from distant villages to seek the healing touch of Asclepius and his companions. Many were drawn by tales of miraculous recoveries and the hope that the grove inspired. The sanctuary became a beacon of renewal, its reputation growing with each visitor who found relief within its embrace. As the number of pilgrims increased, the grove transformed into a symbol of hope and renewal. It was a place where stories of healing were shared, where the confluence of nature and compassion brought comfort to those in distress. Asclepius's vision had become a living reality, nurturing both body and spirit. The grove stood as a testament to the power of unity and the wisdom of the natural world, offering a sanctuary for all who sought its gifts. The chapter closes with Asclepius contentedly observing his creation, the fruits of his labor offering solace to those who entered its peaceful confines. Yet, as serene as the grove was, whispers of his influence reached far beyond its borders. The sanctuary's growing renown suggested changes in the fabric of the world's understanding of healing, a subtle reminder that even in tranquility, the seeds of change quietly took root. Beyond the tranquil confines of the sacred grove, Asclepius's influence began to weave through the very fabric of ancient Greece. His name, carried by whispers and travelers alike, resonated in bustling town squares and solemn temples, instilling hope and curiosity in those who heard of his miraculous healing powers. The grove, a sanctuary dedicated not just to the physical restoration of its visitors, but also to the spiritual renewal of its keepers, stood as a testament to Asclepius's divine mission, and its serene atmosphere drew pilgrims from every corner of the land. As Asclepius's reputation blossomed, so too did the emotions surrounding it. Jealousy and suspicion, as insidious as shadows at dusk, emerged from those envious of his abilities and skeptical of his divine connections. Traditional healers and skeptics criticized what they did not understand, casting doubt on the authenticity of his powers and whispering rumors about his limitations. These rumors spread like the autumn winds, rippling through communities and stirring uncertainty among believers and non-believers alike. Yet, amidst the rising doubts, Asclepius remained steadfast and unruffled, his empathy and patience shining as brightly as ever. He navigated the sea of criticism with grace, understanding that fear and skepticism were merely natural responses to the unknown. With each encounter, he gently reassured those who questioned him, explaining the principles of healing and the shared wisdom he cultivated within the grove. Through quiet words and patient listening, Asclepius sought to dispel the lingering clouds of doubt, offering solace rather than contention. Nonetheless, the challenges he faced were not merely external. A case arose that tested the very core of Asclepius's beliefs regarding mortality and the nature of life itself. A patient arrived at the grove, carrying with them a challenge as complex as it was profound. With their ailment lingering beyond the touch of medicinal herbs and divine intervention alike, Asclepius found himself reflecting deeply on the boundaries of his power and the essence of life, Death. It was a gentle reminder of the limits inherent in all things, even those touched by divinity. These moments of introspection brought Asclepius back to the wisdom imparted by his father Apollo. Summoning the courage to seek guidance, he turned to the lessons once shared between them in solemn temple halls. In quiet contemplation, he recalled Apollo's counsel about compassion, responsibility, and humility, the pillars upon which true healing rested. With renewed understanding, Asclepius rediscovered the gentle balance between his God-given skills and the mortal limitations that even he, as the son of Apollo, must honor. Expanding further on his reflections, Asclepius spent time within the grove, seeking comfort and wisdom in the embrace of nature. Among the ancient trees, against the soft rustle of autumn leaves, he meditated on his role as a healer. There, surrounded by tranquility, Asclepius reaffirmed his commitment to healing with humility, acknowledging that every life, every soul, was part of a delicate balance crafted by divine hands. As dusk descended over the valley, Asclepius stood thoughtfully, gazing across the sprawling landscape from the grove's edge. His mind echoed with the many voices he had encountered, inquisitive, doubtful, hopeful, and the horizon seemed to call for reflection. Guided by inner resolve, he turned his attention inward, allowing nature's whispers to remind him of his purpose: to heal, to guide, to learn. With the setting sun painting the sky in deep hues of orange and gray shadows, Asclepius felt the steady, calming rhythm of the world beneath his feet, grounding him in his divine heritage. In preparation for what lay ahead, Asclepius knew that his journey was far from over. Despite the doubts cast upon him, he remained devoted to his mission, understanding that each turn brought him closer to his understanding of true healing, both as a mortal endeavor and a divine calling. His steadfastness illuminated the path forward, lighting the way as he continued to seek guidance from Apollo, a journey marked by humility and strengthened by wisdom. In the serene and tranquil sanctuary of Asclepius's grove, the gentle rustling of leaves whispered of an impending change. The sacred grove, a peaceful haven set against a vast twilight sky, had become a symbol of healing and hope for many across Greece. Here, Asclepius continued his work, blissfully unaware of the divine deliberations taking place beyond the mortal realm. His hands, guided by his divine heritage, seemed to possess the remarkable ability to heal not only the body, but mend the spirits of those who found solace under his care. Yet far above the earthly plane, seated among the clouds on Mount Olympus, Zeus, king of the gods, turned his attention towards the burgeoning legend of Asclepius. Reports had reached him that the healer had accomplished something extraordinary, something that even the gods seldom dared to attempt, reviving the dead. Such tales had filtered through the immortal ranks, whispered by winds woven between the stones of the great temples, alerting the divine king to a potential challenge to the established order of life and death. In the sprawling corridors of the gods, an assembly was called. Zeus listened as a chorus of divine voices shared their concerns. The balance between gods and men, they argued, appeared to be tipping. Although Apollo, the radiant god of healing and father to Asclepius, tried to assuage these fears, vouching for the intentions and wisdom of his son, he was met with resistance. The weight of divine law pressed heavily against Apollo's reassurances, cautioning that the power to overcome death itself could erase the fine line between mortal existence and divine eternity. Asclepius, in the meantime, continued his healing journey, tending to the ailments of those who sought him out. Each day brought new challenges, yet he met them with tranquil determination. It never occurred to him that his acts of compassion and the profound effects they had could stir such debate among the gods. The grove, with its swaying trees under a storm-threatening sky, remained vibrant with life and learning, holding stories and silent promises of recovery within its bounds. The divine discussion grew heated as immortal tempers flared. Like the gathering clouds that now loomed over Asclepius's grove, a decision began to form, a decision that could alter the young healer's path forever. Zeus, in his wisdom, recognized the necessity to uphold cosmic balance and the natural order. The fear that Asclepius's abilities could spread unchecked amongst mortals was a concern that could not be dismissed lightly. Yet, this was no mark against Asclepius's character. It was not malice nor hubris that drove him, but a pure-hearted commitment to alleviating pain and suffering. Still, the gods pondered, this very sincerity and capability perhaps made him more formidable, highlighting their need to act with both caution and understanding. As discussions continued, a reluctant consensus emerged. Action must be taken to preserve the balance of the world. Meanwhile, within Asclepius's grove, all remained quiet, with only the occasional flurry of whispers among the trees carried by the chilling breeze. Whispers, so gentle, suggested that change was imminent, as if the very grove knew of the celestial conversation occurring far above Asclepius's head. The divine tension, though unrecognized by mortal senses, was palpable, creating an almost imperceptible anxiety within nature itself. As the gods weighed the virtues and consequences of Asclepius's remarkable skills, the decision was painstakingly finalized. An agreement was reached that intervention would be necessary, not out of punishment, but to preserve the delicate interplay of life and death that held the world in equilibrium. Each god concurred, resigned to the notion that what was to come was an essential part of maintaining universal harmony. Rumors of divine intentions began to find their way through the hallowed halls of Olympus, soft as shadows, yet persistent and carrying the weight of importance. Asclepius, unaware, continued to pour his energies into the growing tradition of healing he had fostered, while above him the clouds of fate gathered, casting deepening shadows across the twilight sky. Though unaware, his soul, connected to both worlds, subconsciously prepared for what lay ahead. The grove stood resolute, embracing the impending storm with the same calm and commitment to continuity it had shown through every season. The trees, ancient witnesses to man's plight and perseverance, swayed gently, silent custodians of their truths. The divine council concluded, and it was only a matter of time before the whisperings among the gods would transcend into action, a decisive moment that would forever alter the mortal and divine. Realms die. And so, the narrative of Asclepius prepared to turn its most crucial page As the sacred grove beneath the gathering storm awaited the unfolding of destiny, the air was thick with anticipation in the sacred grove where Asclepius had built his sanctuary of healing. Though the winter sky was dark and foreboding, a faint shimmer of silver light cut through the dense clouds, hinting at a celestial presence observing from above. Asclepius, unaware of the impending divine intervention, was deeply immersed in his work, tending to those who had come seeking his gift of healing. The serene atmosphere belied the storm brewing in the heavens, where decisions concerning his fate were being weighed by the gods. Zeus, king of the gods, had grown increasingly concerned with reports of Asclepius's exceptional abilities. The whispers of his miraculous healings, particularly rumors of reviving the dead, had reached Olympus. It was not the acts of healing that troubled Zeus, but the implications of such power unbalancing the natural order between mortals and gods. A principle of cosmic harmony that Zeus was sworn to uphold risked being disrupted if one mortal, even a son of Apollo, wielded powers approaching the divine. In the darkened halls of Olympus, a firm decision had been made. Zeus decided to intervene directly, recognizing that subtle warnings would not suffice for one so enmeshed in his compassionate mission. The tranquility of Asclepius's grove was abruptly shattered as a thunderbolt, a symbol of divine judgment, arced from the stormy sky, its brilliant flash illuminating the night and leaving a stark scar upon the earth near his sanctuary. With the crash of thunder reverberating through the grove, Asclepius felt an undeniable pull, a call to a spiritual vision where he would confront the king of gods himself. Within this ethereal realm, Asclepius found himself standing before Zeus, whose presence was majestic and imposing. The serene healer felt both awed and humbled in the face of such divine authority. Zeus spoke with a voice like rolling thunder, discussing the boundaries of life and the will of the divine, topics that had occupied Asclepius's thoughts since he first understood his extraordinary abilities. Asclepius listened intently, his mind racing through the memories of his father Apollo and his lessons under the wise centaur Chiron, each imparting wisdom on restraint and balance. In response, Asclepius found his voice firm yet respectful. He began to argue, not with defiance, but with a sincere plea, that the gift of healing was a divine blessing entrusted to him, a tool to mend the suffering of humanity and bridge the gap between the mortal and the divine. He spoke eloquently of compassion, the core tenet of all his actions, and the wisdom he had acquired in his journey. The groves that thrived under his care were not just symbols of healing, but of hope and the limitless potential for renewal. Zeus regarded Asclepius with a keen eye, acknowledging the wisdom and kindness that permeated his every word. Yet, the balance of cosmic order remained a pressing concern. The scales of life and death, often manipulated in the mortal realm, risked tipping precariously. Zeus conveyed the necessity of maintaining this balance and the reason for limiting powers that threatened to overreach the domains of the gods. Asclepius understood, perhaps more deeply than ever, the gravity of his actions and the divine need for order. In accepting his fate, he embraced his place within the circle of life, realizing that his journey was never truly about conquering death, but about respecting the natural cycle and easing suffering. Where he could, this insight felt liberating, as if a weight had been lifted from his shoulders, aligning his heart and mind with the celestial harmony that guided the universe. The vision gradually faded, leaving Asclepius back within his beloved grove. He felt a profound peace settle over him, the storm that once threatened his sanctuary now retreating into the distance. The air was calm again, yet charged with an indescribable energy that suggested to Asclepius that this moment was not an end, but a transformative step forward. He stood there quietly, a single figure contemplating the vastness of the cosmos and his place within it. In this moment of reflection, As the heavens opened to reveal a blanket of stars, Asclepius sensed that his mortal journey was nearing its culmination, and that he was on the cusp of a new divine chapter. With a heart full of acceptance and gratitude, Asclepius awaited the destiny that would soon be revealed to him, a destiny perhaps marked by the very stars now twinkling in the night sky above. As the first stars began to shimmer in the expansive night sky, Asclepius felt a profound sense of serenity and resolution envelop him. He stood in the hallowed sacred grove, the very place that had witnessed his journey from skilled healer to a figure of divine importance. The gentle rustling of leaves and the soft whispers of the wind seemed to speak to the significance of this moment, a transition not just for him, but for humankind and the art of healing. Above, a tapestry of stars unfolded, casting a gentle light upon the earth. Zeus, in acknowledgement of Asclepius's contributions to healing and his understanding of life's delicate balance, decided it was time to honor him in a way befitting his journey. With a subtle gesture, Zeus lifted Asclepius from the earthly realm to a place among the stars, embedding him as a celestial constellation for all to see. This transformation was not a sudden rupture, but rather a serene elevation, a mark of reverence for all he had achieved. In becoming a constellation, Asclepius's legacy was eternally enshrined. Those who gazed upon the night sky would see the pattern of stars and remember the healer who bridged the realms of gods and men. It was a fitting tribute, a reminder that the essence of healing is compassion, and that the stars themselves guard the secrets of well-being. Back on Earth, Apollo looked up, his heart swelling with pride for his son. Chiron, the wise centaur who had nurtured Asclepius's early instincts and wisdom, also saw the celestial symbol high above. They both knew that while Asclepius had physically departed from their midst, his spirit and teachings would guide future generations. From the whispered leaves in the grove to the quiet corridors of temples, his influence would continue to flourish. The sacred grove itself, where so much of Asclepius's life work had been inspired and practiced, remained vibrant and alive, a living monument to his teachings. The plants he had gathered and nurtured thrived, and their power to heal and renew was felt far and wide. Pilgrims continued to visit, basking in the grove's tranquil atmosphere and its promise of restoration. It remained a place of sanctuary, where the interconnectedness of life and healing could be felt deeply. Throughout Greece, mortals recognized the gifts Asclepius had bestowed upon them. In his name, new temples rose, their altars dedicated to the pursuit of healing and wellness. Within these temples, healers practiced the arts Asclepius had perfected, channeling his wisdom through rituals and ceremonies crafted to bring relief and clarity to those who sought solace. His teachings were woven into the fabric of daily life, influencing both practitioners and the people they served. Healing rites and practices were thus established, not as prescriptions, but as acts of empathy and understanding, rooted in the lessons Asclepius imparted. These rites were both religious and practical, blending the divine inspiration he provided with the meticulous knowledge he had gathered throughout his life. It was a testament to his dual nature as both a mortal healer and a divine figure, guiding those who needed help most. As time went on, Asclepius was revered as the god of medicine. His name invoked not only the hope for recovery, but also a deep respect for the craft of healing. Through him, people learned that healing was not merely the act of curing, but a harmonious balance between the patient, the healer, and the world around them. His story became a sacred narrative told from generation to generation, a cornerstone of wisdom in a world seeking health and harmony. In this peaceful culmination, the story of Asclepius closed like the gentle lowering of a curtain, leaving behind a legacy rich with compassion and understanding. The world had been touched by his journey, and his elevation to godhood was a serene acknowledgement of all he had done. With gratitude, the Greeks remembered Asclepius's gifts to the world, cherishing not only the healing he provided but also the lessons of empathy, humility, and dedication he left behind. In every healing touch and every kind word, his influence continued, a gentle reminder of a divine purpose fulfilled and a legacy enduring.